80s music.
We're on.
We're here. Oh my God.
People not watching. You should be watching this episode. I highly recommend this episode to be viewed on YouTube. So if you're listening on Spotify or Apple or any of those channels, stop. Go to YouTube. Put this shit on.
Save this one.
That's right. Because me and my wing woman, Margie, Black Belt Beauty, fucking right hand, left hand, all of it. We're here in celebration of our official 3-year anniversary episode.
Yes.
Dude.
3.
Emotional. It's so crazy. I kept in my notes, like writing out what I mean, you know, the weekly to do all the shit. I was like, 1 year. No, girl, it's not 1 year anniversary. It's 3. So gnarly. And I was thinking
so much work and life and love put into this.
You know, I was thinking when I was getting ready, I was like, I never, you know, let's go back to 3 years ago where, you know, I'm in Vegas and my girl Carla Esparza is, you know, about to fight the next day. And, you know, I had everything ready to go to launch BlackBeltBeautyRadio. She was the first episode. And I remember at the time, oh man, I just remember laying in bed that morning, like, oh shit, it's like, it's happening. You know, you're about to put this out there, put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was such a big deal for me to push post on the post. 'Cause this was also, you know, kind of like a big statement to say, while I've been doing this for the larger part of my career life, you know, being a makeup artist, I'm now entering this new realm, you know, of media, right? And with my voice, and yeah, it was so gnarly. And I was thinking when I was getting ready, I'm like, I never would have imagined that, you know, 3 years later, I would be creating an episode with you, Margie, like having a teammate in this game of the podcast, and not just the podcast, obviously, like you are everything that has to do with Black Belt Beauty. And it's just, it's so special. You know, it literally, I mean, you know how I roll, and I'm such a team player. And obviously the podcast is a labor of love. It's been my baby. It's still my baby. And, you know, 10 years later, it'll still be my baby. But like, to have you in all this with me, behind me, to, you know, just integrated in it, it's even more special for me. So I love you, and I'm excited to get down and rap out about like just this year together. What a year.
What a year. Well, first of all, to respond to you, I am so deeply honored to be a part of this team. It has, to cheapen it, it's literally changed my life. The words do not give it enough value to express how, I told you this from the beginning when we first had conversations about working together. But I just wanted to be around you, and I didn't know what capacity, but I knew that it was something that I was very much, it was a piece of my life that I feel like was not missing, because I didn't know what I was missing clearly, but I just needed to be next to you. And so it, like we always say, nothing happens on accident. This was definitely not an accident. And I'm just so thrilled and honored to really be a part of everything, all things Black Belt Beauty, but the podcast definitely has a special place in my heart. I'm definitely a podcast junkie, so I appreciate that.
No, I love that so much. No, for sure. It's like, it's such a, you know, it was like a moment of real alignment for us to connect. Cause, you know, backstory for those who don't know, most don't, but we were friends from our neighborhood, you know, so we knew each other. And, you know, I think at that point, it's for 4 years now. So we're going into, I think, 5 years.
Yeah,
you were pregnant.
Sully's 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Sully's 4, but yeah.
Right, going into 5.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'll never forget when I met you, how just the feeling, I always say we are an experience, right? So we give each other experiences. And, my experience with you, go back to the very first day that we met. Um, your smile has an impact, like, cause you smile with your eyes, and I, me, I'm like a witch. I read energy like on another level. And it's like, there's just a purity about you and a beauty about you. And like, it's so true though. I'm not bullshitting. I mean, I'm
I
not,
know you're not. No, you
no,
see me. You see people.
I really
And it
do.
means a lot to me. That means a
Yeah,
lot to me.
well, and we had fun, like, connecting, and
So
I
much
was
fun.
telling you at the time about, because I was just starting Black Belt Beauty, and I was all excited, and you were, talking about, like, you were creative and you love storytelling, and it was just this rad connection. And then, Instagram keeps us connected, but
Yeah.
we weren't necessarily like, "Hey, girl, I want to go grab lunch," but we were able to stay connected through the space of Instagram. And when I was in this place where I really needed, it was time for me to really get a teammate. Um, I remember, like, right before I had put it out there, that I almost felt defeated for a second. That might be a really heavy word, maybe not the best word, because it wasn't total defeat, but it was this moment of, like, I knew that I wanted to be with someone who had their heart in the game with me. That's hard, right? Like, it's easier to find someone who can do the things, like the emails and the calls, and like, that's
Yeah. The
easier.
virtual assistant. Yeah.
Exactly. But, everything that I do in my life, period, is done with love. It's done with, like, real passion. And so, and obviously everything related to Black Belt Beauty is that times infinity squared, right? So my ideal um teammate would be someone who, yes, can do the things, but I cared more about heart in the game. And so when I put it out there, because there was someone before, and she was lovely, but she just wasn't the one. And then
Mm.
I had a moment where I was like, okay, am I really, like, where is this person going to come from? Right. And then I remember that day, I literally, and I swear this is all true story. I remember deciding. I was like, no, I'm calling that person in, and I knew it was going to be a woman. I'm calling her in. So, I have a conversation with our friend Amber. I put it out there. I put it out on this one other thing. And then as I made this decision to myself, like, she's coming, I put this post up, and then I shared it, and then boom, and then Margie responds, and your response was so, like, you just like, I'm here, like, I'm down. And
Yeah.
um I remember my feeling. It's fun for me to replay this, and I want this to live in this conversation, which is why I'm taking us through this process, because I can visually see myself. I was like, Margie, and it was like, because go back to the piece where I was like, your experience, like the smile of, like, it took me back to my initial meeting with you. I was like, Margie, and it literally, in that moment, I was like, is this shit for real? This is like a dream come true. Like, Margie can work, and then
I mean, the feeling is so mutual, girl. To be on that same track with you in a similar experience, that day that I saw your post, I had just made a very personal decision on my end of things. As you know, I'm in school right now, and I do have a 4.5-year-old, and I was really needing that time I needed some intentional time with him. And I had decided that day to take a semester off. And literally within hours, I saw your post. It was like, it felt like the Instagram heavens, like, opened up. I was like blown away. And little did I know, just responding to that message, what, you talk about passion, you talk about living, you live this life, you live Black Belt Beauty, which is so inspiring to me. And for somebody that doesn't always feel like they've shown up to their best of their abilities every day, all the time, for so many reasons, it can feel, you know, I didn't always feel that way. You champion people around you. You just do. You don't have followers, you have leaders, right? And so responding to that message, like, little did I know how much this would impact everything. And you live it, I'm living it now.
Yes, you are.
And I'm just, yeah, I'm just so grateful for that Instagram DM.
Well, and it just shows, when you make up, there's a couple things I think to highlight there. First, we both made a decision
Yeah.
about what we wanted. We got really clear on it, right? And that
Yes.
clarity, when we do this in life, just in general, like when we get really clear on what it is that we want, it takes away any resistance around it. It's like, okay, look, now I'm going to get strategic. Now I'm clear in the direction I want to move in. Now I know what I'll say yes to and what I'll say no to. Like all of these things start to happen, right? And then that's what perpetuates this momentum of expansion, like moving you in that direction and eliminating resistance. Because when we think about not being clear, I mean, this is where resistance comes in, because we're like, I don't, and it's like that energy is just not, it's not fun. It's not taking you anywhere you want to go. It's just not, it's definitely not going to bring you closer to the things that you want. But when you get clear, it's like a settling inside. And then whether it's something that, in our case, it happened pretty quick, and that's wonderful. It doesn't always happen that way. We also know that too, but it keeps you on this path to actually actualizing things. I can't tell you how many times in my life fuck, man, this is why I'm like, you're a manifesting badass, because there are times where I have been quick on the manifestation, and there are times where literally, even if it was because I'm thinking of one thing, I'll just keep it to myself, but 2 decades later, I manifested something that I used to, like in my teenage years, I always wanted. And then I would never even know, like 2 decades later, that this would surface in my life. But there was also a lack of resistance because I wasn't clinging on it. So it's like, it unfolded. So again, it's like, I think it's a really powerful piece to live in this episode, that when we make a decision and when we get clear, we allow ourselves to, be on this pathway to actualizing, to achieving, to manifesting. And not, I think it's important to say that, don't get caught up in how fast, because that's a trip up. And then that creates a resistance, right? That we don't want. It
Mm-hmm.
creates resistance we don't want. But just to be very clear and have a vision and hold that vision of what it is that you want without this tension in it. This is really important, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you talk about the resilience that, I mean, uh, and I think manifesting obviously is something that's so crucial and has really helped me so much. I didn't know that that's what I was doing that day. I just knew that I needed to, I mean, I got smacked in the face with life, and it was like, you've got to slow down. You've got to make yourself and your son a priority, or shit's going to get real and things are going to start falling apart. And, so I 100% am on that page with you. I mean, it's funny because we could talk about instant gratification, right? And that's something, when you're holding on to something like that, and going through that trajectory of, oh God, like I'm doing all this work and it's not happening, and
Mhm.
da da da. And it's so important. I realize that, I mean, the work and that process that goes into that's, into that
I know
goal.
exactly what you're thinking of. No, it's perfect. I love that we just landed here. It's because I always talk about the process being
Yes.
the reward, right? Because this is
Yes.
where all of the
Something I
match.
resisted for a very long time.
Yeah, it's like, listen, and this partners well with my saying of there's no handouts to badassery. You want to live a badass life? You want to be a badass? Well, then you need to go through the process of becoming the badass. You need to feel the hurt. You need to feel the hard. You need to feel the highs and the lows. You need to feel it all so you can experience yourself
Mhm.
in these moments and then discover who you are in these moments. And when I say that, it's like,
Yes.
there's opportunities there for like, to grow and to learn. Like, let's just say you could be more resilient or strong or, handle things better or different. Like, you need to be in that position to have the opportunity to discover these areas at which you can improve, right?
Oh, what you're capable of, right?
Yes.
And part of the the 5S program that you talk about, and I think that this was so critical for me, was to turn around and be self-aware of the fact that this is what you are going through, and that, hey, look, that was really hard, but look how you handled that. Or, oh shit, that was really hard and you didn't quite handle that. It could have, how could we have elevated that situation?
Exactly.
And that piece right there, that self-awareness, oh God,
It's
so lacking, so lacking. I'm
yeah.
30, I'll be 37 in a month, literally.
Listen, but here's the thing about self-awareness. It's not like we were brought up and in school, they're like, okay, kids, like now we want
Right.
you to really pay attention. Where are your thoughts right now? Are they making
Yeah.
you feel good? So when you say, your age, it's like, to me, this is work that usually, if at all, is going to come in later, in the later years of your life. I mean, now we're definitely more in a place like actually the kids, there's schools or classes or like where meditation is a part of it, or maybe the
Yeah.
parents or, but I'm saying, like, I'm 42, girl, and this was not happening in the 80s. Like, okay, like everybody, let's just be aware now, but I love that you brought up the 5S formula, because the self-awareness is the anchoring piece. It really is. It's the foundation. You cannot, um, feel love for yourself, and if you're not even feeling a real connection to who you are, how
Yeah.
you are, and also who
Yeah.
you want to become, and all of that comes in after we start to realize, just kind of how we're moving through life, and in terms of our mindset, our thinking, or our beliefs, our how we process things, right? And it's important to insert this, that when you are in this, moment of discovering and just kind of being aware of self, to not be judging yourself, because,
Yeah.
I
That's a hard piece about the self-awareness, right? Because it's such a fine line to blend. It's like the self-awareness and then self-judgment, and if you go down that path, it can get a little tricky. And to bring yourself back without that judgment, to hold space for how you did show up in that moment, is so, that's been a lot of work for me, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, it's very. I mean, I think it's hard for most, and this. So a couple of years ago, I was actually in the airport. I'll never forget it. As a writer, when certain things come downloaded to me, and when I say downloaded, like downloaded from my highest self, or from
Yeah.
me, that have a really powerful impact. Like, I viscerally feel the words, the message. I can remember, I can see myself standing. I'm with my best girl, Carrie. We're traveling. We're in Vegas. I have my journal with me, and these words came to me. And they were, you cannot be judging and learning at the same time. You cannot be
Ooh.
judging and learning at the same time. So,
Ah,
so, right. And it's important to put that there, because yeah, it's hard. So I feel like when I say that, it helps individuals like create a visual almost of like, yeah, you're right. Like, how could a student be learning in the classroom if it's just placing judgment on what the teacher is giving you can't, because judgment is, you've settled the deal, like it's closed, like there's, you know what I mean, like you
yeah.
judge this, and there's a place for judgment, we know that, like, don't cross the street when a fucking car is coming, you're going to get hit. So it's not anti-judgment in that regard, but
Right.
when you are in a place where you're trying to just be an awareness of yourself, of your actions, your behaviors, your process, your thoughts, your emotions. You don't want to be judging, because now you're not allowing yourself the space, like you said so perfectly, that you need to come in and then decide, like, how how's this working for me? Like, this is this in alignment with what I want to be feeling, what maybe like the future version of myself would be feeling. I mean, that's a conversation for another time, but
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like, it's so important. So just to put a bow on that self-awareness piece, it's like, you guys, you cannot be judging and learning at the same time. And why it could be so hard is because sometimes when you're witnessing certain things about yourself, it can, your thoughts or playing back behaviors or thing, it can make you really uncomfortable. And then that's where you can start to become an asshole to yourself, or become the victim, or but know that when you do that, you've left the classroom, and you don't want to leave the classroom yet, because think about it. You don't want, you're leaving the classroom feeling like an asshole. You've learned nothing. Like, how, no.
No, I just got that visual in my head.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
It's so
such an
fun
asshole.
because you know me, I'm such a visual person. So I feel like it helps to kind of create these
Oh,
illustrations.
totally. Well, and I always say, I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I think that that's so important. And the growth thing, like, huge for me. I feel every day we need to be taking in new information.
Okay, so let's that just brought up a beautiful, fun memory for me that is gonna live in this epic fucking episode forever now. So I remember at one point this year, there was like, we're gonna kind of tease apart growth mindset here. So there's a mistake that goes down with work, right? And it was like this email situation, and I call you, and I'm in I'm in a fucking moment of literally like a panic, where I was like, oh my God, Margie, holy shit. Okay. I'm going to just like, Margie. And you're like, what? And I'm like, okay, this happened. And, and I'm like, okay, but, and then you remember, I'm like, okay, but I'm bringing myself down. One of my favorite statements is, but nobody's dead. Like, no one died.
Right.
No one died. Right.
Huge. Yes.
Right. And
very
then
important.
Here comes the growth mindset piece. I'm like, Margie, I'm taking full ownership for this. And you're like, no, it's my fault, because I'm like, Margie, no, let me take ownership for this. And you and I are both like arguing, not like really arguing, but like trying to like own the mistake, because whoever owns the mistake has the opportunity to go, what could I have done better? It's the opportunity for growth.
Yeah.
And we're growth mindset girls that were like, no, it's my fault. No, it's my fault. Whereas like,
let me have this one.
And I remember going to run the beach after, like, later that day, and I'm laughing and I'm talking about it in my stories, like, fuck, I love you. Like, that is so amazing, because that is not the norm. The norm is pointing the finger. You did it.
Oh yeah, I'm really good at that. I was very good at that. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I didn't do anything, but
but you don't give yourself any tools there. There's nothing to expand on. I mean, listen, there have been moments in my life where, for sure, the person fucked me over. Like, 100%, the person did the thing that was so wrong. And still, though, I go, okay, what was it about me that allowed that to happen? And this can take us into interesting territories, because I'm not saying that there are certainly circumstances where, an individual is taking on some sort of, abuse.
There's a true victim.
There is a true victim. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So just to be clear, like, that's not who we're talking about.
No.
Yeah. And so,
absolutely.
I mean, and to go back to the growth mindset piece, where we're having, we're like, I mean, this is just another like pinnacle moment, at least for me, where I'm just like, I fucking love my girl, to have her on board with me in these moments. It's like when I look back at this year, Margie, and I'm guilty of this. Like I definitely live with absolute gratitude in my life active every single day. I go to bed at night, hand on heart, and I literally thank myself with so much love for everything that I lived and that I efforted in the day, like that I, put the how I
Yeah.
showed up. That being said, I'm also someone who, because there's just so much, like the vision that I hold for everything with Black Belt Beauty and really my life.
Yeah.
I see how much more work there is to do, and it's not this like, it's like it's exciting. It's literally what pulls me out of bed. But in that, I'm kind of guilty of not necessarily fully celebrating, like we can just use this last month as an example. We launched Queendom. We had, our first virtual event together, and it was a great turnout. We have been, I mean,
While continuing the podcasts and guests
the
and
podcast has been stacked. It's not just
right.
been how it was earlier in the year or last year. It's
No.
like we've been like, because we're getting ahead for next year, and it's wonderful. Coaching has been happening at the same time, and so, and in my life, I do all of this while also it's not like my personal life, like meaning taking care of myself, my environment, none of that slips as a result of the workload. I do it all, and I
Mhm.
say that with
That's something I've really learned from you too, is in fact, if that does slip, that's when everything else slips too. You help, especially as a mother too. Just a quick note,
yeah.
making sure that you have that dialed in for yourself. That's given me the tools to say, no, I'm eating right now. I'm not going to read a book to you. Or, you know what? I do need to get that work out in. It's 7:30 and I'm fucking tired, but I got to take care of myself, and
Yeah.
that is so crucial and something that's been really beneficial. So sorry, continue. Yes.
No, I love that you said that because listen, that's what this brand is built off of. I'm like in my thought leadership, it's like, hey, yeah, I'm a high performer, but the reason why it's holistic high performance is because it's not my high performance is not one dimensional. So I'm not just
Mhm.
here to crush it in my business or crush it like in one area. I want the whole fucking thing. And that
Yeah.
whole thing for me starts
Yeah.
within. If you don't have wealth inside, the wealth outside, you might even have it by way of like finances or whatever, but there's an emptiness. There was something, or there's like eventually a health issue comes up because this inner being, this system, this whole existence inside, im- if this is not being nourished and flourishing and thriving, to me, like there's a glitch in the system, man. And
Yeah.
even if you don't know it or feel it right away, it will fucking show up. This is a very common story of how, a lot of people are living the external success and getting the external validation and feeling all the external, and then something will happen in
Yeah.
life where either they get sick or person goes away that was giving them their feeling of worth or validate, and then they don't.
Right.
So
And you're
for
left with yourself.
and you're exactly. And then if that
You don't know
isn't
what to do.
exactly. Exactly. No, so I
And that
love
kind of nourishment for your body, that is a form of self-love. It has to be. If
girl.
and that like and I just listened to this amazing podcast, Carolyn Burkle and Rich Roll, and they talk about this, and she was giving an example of how she was overtraining, under nutrition, or her nutrition was all jacked
Yeah.
up, she was getting injured, and it's because she, you know obviously there's like a trauma piece that is so beautiful too. She speaks so
Yeah.
well about vulnerability, and how that impacted her body. But she just kept saying, she's like, I didn't know what to, what to do with my body. I didn't even know that these things
Right.
weren't being taken care of, or that I was doing this to myself. But because they were trained to be so hyper focused and to pay attention to their bodies, but at the same time, as athletes, but at the same time, she uh, just disconnected, you know, and that's, she realized like that's when she started to get injured, and not doing it justice, but it's a really beautiful conversation too.
No,
But
she's
it really
amazing.
resonates. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it really resonated with me too, as, you know, being a mom, working in school. And I'm sure the same thing with you, you know, you're working 8 weeks and or 8 days a
8
week.
days a week. I know, seriously. But
yeah, so I hear that. And you touched on something, I want to just rewind really quick. You touched on this piece about, you know, not coming from this place of judgment, having an awareness, you know, approaching everything from a holistic standpoint. And my question to you is, you know, you've got all these pieces, you know what you're doing, and you slip up, right? Maybe you didn't eat that great, or maybe you didn't get enough sleep, or maybe you didn't get to all those projects. Maybe you didn't get to your fucking checklist. You know, I want your listeners, I want to hear your thoughts on that, to kind of go off of like a little bit of where do you handle this like self love versus this like perfectionist, like I've got it all fucking down and dialed in, and and then something slips, you know? Then what?
No, I love that question. Thank you for it, because I do feel like it's really for the larger part, we're hearing more of like a binary kind of conversation. It's like you're either like, oh, all love and, you know, and just be okay with where you're at and who you are, or it's like militant, and it's like, fuck that. There's something in between. And when I think of that, the visual for me is this yin and this yang, the masculine and the feminine energy. One side can't dominate the other, or it can, but it's not going to leave you anywhere that feels good, right? Ultimately, and it's not going to produce the best out from you. So if I think about, you know, someone who's like, okay, I had this intention of like hitting all these things in this day that is Monday, and, you know, and maybe the person got, you know, 3 things out of their 10 list done. Now, they could choose to feel like a failure. They could choose to feel like, oh shit, I'm not good enough. I didn't, and all those thoughts. Um, or they can zoom out and go, well, I also have tomorrow, and my results aren't, you know, based off of one day. It's the larger, it's a game of averages. Like, how am I showing up on average,
Love
right?
that.
And this ability to zoom out and be, you know, really, it's like there is a form of compassion that comes in, because in compassion, if I think about compassion as a flower, the bud, the inside is patience, right? And so allowing yourself to have this moment of, you know, where you're not beating yourself up. You're understanding that you have more to go. The game isn't fucking over ever. So you will have an opportunity to keep rising to the occasion and keep getting better. That's like the feminine energy, right?
Yeah.
She's keeping you open. She's keeping you malleable. She's keeping you um supple. Because what opposes that is this overdoing of the force of the gripping of the control. And like I feel tense even just explaining that. And what happens is you crack. Like, I'm not here to crack. I'm here to open and keep opening and keep opening, right? And so, you know, it's awesome, because in Queendom, you know, January is focused on commitment. That's the subject, that's the challenge, going all in. And part of the challenge is, hey, listen, if you trip up, like maybe, you know, you didn't eat exactly how you wanted to that day, like, keep it fucking moving. Hashtag keep it moving. Like, don't sit here and become a victim of your own shit, you know, because you're also saying in that moment, like, I'm done then. Really? Are you? Or is it just a moment? Evaluate, be real with yourself. Could you have been better? How? Cool. But do it with compassion, do it with curiosity, do it with love. You're not going to, especially, here's a very important piece to put in here. especially if you know that you're legitimately fucking trying. If you are legitimately trying, how dare you be an asshole to yourself? If you're not trying, we'll
Right.
save that for another fucking solo-sode. But I feel like everyone who listens to this podcast, who watches this podcast, is absolutely trying. Like, is trying. And if you're trying, like, give yourself a fucking break, because that's the money in the bank. Because you know, I always say, like, I am giving it my best today with what I know, what I have, who I know, like, with the best that I am today. I'm literally showing up to give my best. Tomorrow I'll ask myself to do better, and there's a good chance that I'll actually be able to do better, because there will be an expansion. Maybe it's now I know somebody more, or I've gained another skill, or I have more energy in the day, or I've learned something new from the book I read this morning, whatever it is. But giving, if so, to answer your, like, in a little kind of bullet point, realize that you've got more to go. Be on your team by holding some compassion for you, especially when you know that you're trying. Keep it fucking moving, because that's champion shit. You know, champions not like, ugh. Can you imagine if Michael Jordan, like, after, you know, not making it to the championships, like, in the earlier part of his career, if he just, like, gave up and felt like he was not good
Right.
enough, we would never have the fucking Jordan that we've had.
Yeah.
So be like fucking Jordan, man. And, like, you know, keep analyzing the ways that you can get better, but do it from a place where you're not, you know, putting yourself down. You're doing it from a place where you're building your fucking self up.
Yes. And I think you
Yeah.
just nailed it. Be on your team. And I asked that question from a place of personal experience and growth with this process, and from somebody that, you know, I don't think I ever realized how much of a perfectionist I was on myself and how hard I was on myself. And if somebody even gave me the slightest criticism, it was like, fuck you, because I do that 20 million times to myself. So I don't need to hear that shit from you. I already know, like, and it just came from this place of, like, turning my wheels about how just the constant negative self-talk. I wasn't on my team, and it didn't matter what anybody else said to me, because I already knew it times, like I said, a million, that I was doing it wrong, and it's such a place of not being able to show up for yourself, and therefore not being able to show up for other people, whether it's personal relationship, work. You know, that's why that story you said, I mean, I'm actually, that's a proud moment for me, because before I would have probably just cried and told you, like, oh, I'm sorry, like, well, you know, like, been such a whiner about it. But hell yeah,
We've
I
had
need to
moments,
take.
Margie, where I've felt you, you know, like, where it's like I felt you even defending you, like not how do I say this? There's, like, one specific moment where I felt you kind of almost like you were getting smaller, and I was like, "Oh, no, 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 like, girl, like, no,
Yeah.
my girl, like, I want you to, this is where you, like, I felt protective of you."
Yeah, I
You
remember
know that
this.
moment?
Get yourself, everybody out there, get yourself a boss, team member, whatever, that will do this to you with you in times like this. Not to cut you off, Rox,
No,
but, like,
no.
like, God, I wish I met you in my teenage years.
Well, we got the rest of our lives. You're not going anywhere except everywhere with me, and I'm going everywhere with you. So we're good, because it's even more
We are
potent now.
good. We are good. I gotta stop going back. We're here, you know. But I'm just saying, what a powerful tool
Yeah.
for women specifically. I say women. I truly believe that, because I don't think that. I think we are taught this external validation, and that's a whole other conversation as well. But yes, you did feel. I felt that from you, and I felt so held in that space too, because you were protecting me from me. You know.
Yes, exactly.
Which is
It's so, because I just, yeah, exactly. Like, I love you and I want you, you know, and you know, I mean,
yeah.
coming into work with me, um, you know, I made it really clear, like, I'm not here to just, like, it's not just, I don't want you to just even enjoy work and gain from the work aspect of our relationship, but I want it to affect the entirety of your life in the most
Yeah.
incredible of ways, you know, because that to me, as a leader, that's where it's at to me. Like, it's not just in this space. It's like, I want to know that the experience that I am in your life is supporting you in every aspect of your life. Like, that's that's a win for me on
Yeah.
on a very large scale. So it's, I mean, let's just take a moment to say, I mean, I'm so proud of you, not only in just how you've just continuously showed up for Black Belt Beauty for me. Like, I feel like I genuinely have a soldier with me who's got my back. It's the best feeling in the world. But also, I want to take a moment to honor and celebrate and congratulate you this year, because you launched your jewelry line, Live Jewelry, right?
Cute.
Yeah. She's so cute. You gotta watch this fucking episode. She's like, thank you. No, but it's a big deal, because
Sweet
I
thing.
remember, like, Margie, get the name. Like, you love jewelry. Like, we're doing this right now. And now, you've got pop-ups, and girls are just like, you can't keep up with the, you're like, to the orders, and it's just the beginning. And it's so, I mean, listen, I'm going to have a moment for myself. Like, this makes me feel good, because I'm like, see, that's what I'm talking about. I said,
Yeah.
I want every aspect of your life to benefit from our connection and our collaboration. And I know what it takes to do something like that, to go all in, to bet on
Yeah.
yourself, financially invest the work in your standing on the edge of, the unknown. Like, and listen, at a time where in this year, none of us in society, like in our lifetime, have ever faced more challenging of times. Like, there's obviously,
Yeah.
there's been so much wonderful, I know in your life, I know in my life, and a lot of people's lives, but there's been, and we're still living it. It's been so fucking challenging. And so, in a leap of faith, like, to do something like that, where it's not just an energy investment, there's a financial investment, right? Which
Right.
really a form of energy, but and you went for it, and it's proving to be epic for you, and it's just the beginning. So I just want to say that I'm so proud of you, and I'm so excited for you. And yeah, I mean, this is we need to fucking have a moment here to appreciate this, girl.
I really, that truly means so much to me. It really does. I'm kind of speechless.
You're so cute. She's like fucking blushing over there.
It's just, I am. It's that the jewelry is really special to my heart, and you know that. And
Yes, it's
yeah,
beautiful.
it's
And
it's been a wonderful outlet. It's been beautiful and empowering and
yeah,
vulnerable.
yeah.
But
And
really,
it's a wonderful example too for anybody listening or watching right now who is in that position where, I mean, listen, you're in school, you're a mommy, you work with me, you launch a jewelry line, and now you add that to your, I'm saying, you're a beautiful example of someone who, with all the things you have going on, you're like, I'm going to take a chance on myself. I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to listen to this feeling inside of me that's like, hey, I want to do this. I want to try. I love this. And so I'm going to go. And, and that's what, so much of everything under Black Belt Beauty. I mean, obviously, like, Queendom is exactly that. It's like supporting the women on the journey to do
yeah.
things, to live this expression, this desire. I want there to be, like, if this is a sign, do the damn thing and just go, and, like, timing is something. Go ahead,
Yeah.
tell me.
Well, no, I just,
Yeah.
gosh, I just love you. And just really quickly, this brings up something, as you know, I'm been surrounded by, I mean, my son's dad is an incredible ultra runner. And, during his races, where he's running, 50 plus miles, and some things that and, Sally McRae too. So,
Yeah.
some of you just can't help but catch on to
Yeah.
their mentality. And
Mhm.
one thing that really resonated with me was, Dave during one of his races, the mantra kept coming to him, why not me? Why not me? And it was just so powerful. And I think it's such a similar experience with Queendom and working with you and what you're doing for others. And when other women see each other creating businesses, creating gains in their life, whatever that means for them, parenting, career, personal, whatever that is, and watching and saying, well, they're fucking doing it. Why can't I? Why not me?
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Like, fuck it. Yeah, I am a student. Fuck it. Yeah, I love, like, work is also a passion for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, jewelry is a passion. Well, I could be doing that. Why not me? And that was really, it was really like a powerful moment. And honestly, I started this jewelry line because I was like, well, fuck, I need something to do. We're inside all day and I need some birthday gifts. So I was like, I'm gonna start making some bracelets. And I was like, oh shit, this stuff is fun and it's good and I want to wear this and my friends want to wear it, and okay, let's do this. And you celebrating me, like, this is what it's about, you guys. It's celebrating each other, and we need to do that more for each other. No. So speaking of, I don't mean to interrupt, but speaking of celebrating, I reached out to a couple of our Queendom girls because this is a celebration of 3 years doing this podcast, Roxy, and we are all so proud of you. So I reached out to 2 of our girls. Yes, if I can make you cry on this on this podcast, I'll be so proud. You know, Kiri and Maggie, and they had we wanted to just share a couple of messages with you. So I hope that's okay.
Of course.
I just wanted to read you a couple of beautiful things from these women whose lives women you've literally never met in person. And yet weird. You've touched them so deeply. So this is a message from Maggie. Roxy has absolutely been instrumental in helping me capture the play aspect of recovery, and along with that, to recognize and celebrate my progress. And I'm so grateful for that. I reached out to them to consider something that they, comment that they wanted to share about Black Belt Beauty, but also a question for you. Yeah. So to touch on the 3 years, she wants to know, how are we celebrating this mega win of 3 years? And also she'd love to know about your ultimate driving force in life, the things that inspire you to rise up, to maintain that discipline, to develop your best self, and to put forth all of these incredible resources for others. And she did a massive shout out to Queendom for that.
I just love so much. I love you. That mission accomplished. You made me cry. It's awesome. Eyeliner running. It's so great. And I cry because I'm just, you know me, I'm a deep feeler, and I'm moved, and to have these connections with the incredible women that we have, it means so much to me.
I know it does.
And so thank you. Okay, you might have to, what was the first part of the question?
I'll back up. She wants to know how we are celebrating this mega win of 3 years.
Well, first of all, just having this time with you, I mean, like, I get to record, I have a teammate that I'm recording this 3-year anniversary episode with. And that means so much, because let's be real, girl, this morning I was like, I don't want to do anything. I'm like, I'm ready for a day off for sure. And I'm taking one tomorrow, which I'm excited about, but and that will be an extended celebration, get the facial, get the massage, do the things. But honestly, Margie girl, like, putting on my makeup to get ready for this episode, it was really me being able to take a moment to just be with you. And in this, it's so cool because having you with me, obviously there's a million reasons why it's so powerful and I love it. One thing that I want to really bring to light that makes it really special is you're witnessing me, and you're witnessing me in my life. Like, I have a witness, and that witnessing experience and exchange is not only important just to, like, if you think about it, like, there's someone who has witnessed is witnessing how I'm doing this whole thing called my life and everything related business. But also it's important because you have the opportunity then to reflect things back on me that I might not be taking time to see, to notice. And like you're
Yeah.
really good about just being like, hey, wait, hold on here. Like, can we just stop for a moment and take it? Like, can you realize like what has just transpired? Like what you've, and I need that at times. I
You
admit
do,
it.
because you
Because
get
I'm
into
like
this mode where you're just like,
gangster.
go, go, go. You're
Yes.
gangster razor cut mode.
Literally.
You're razor right now.
Yes, exactly.
When I
So
hear that, I'm all, we're on.
I know, and I'm like, Margie, it's so great. I'm like, please, no, just know underneath all this tone is absolute love, and that's established, and we know that. But I'm in gangster mode right now, and that's just I have a switch where I have to just whoosh,
Yeah.
and you're able to be in that high performance mode with me because A, you know me and you know where I come from, and B, you're like, yeah, let's do this shit. Like, I'm with you. So anyways, I'm celebrating from my end anyways, it's just to be in this space with you and to be creating hopefully an episode that is elevating and uplifting and making those taking this in laugh, feel good, maybe inspired to do the thing that we were just talking about, whatever that is for them. And just to be here with you. So the next part of her question was like, what drives me every day?
Yeah, your ultimate driving in life and
Yeah.
things that inspire you, and how are you maintaining that discipline and developing your best self? And
Yeah. So I always come back to this because it's really it's the simple way to put it, but it's not that simple when you break it down. But honestly, I just really I love myself. Like I genuinely fucking love this being that I am, and not just who I am, but who I'm becoming. Because I think most people know, and for those who don't yet, like I have a relationship with my future self. I have a relationship. My future self is my highest self, and she is me. She is my muse. She's my North Star, and I fucking love her. And she shows up every day to guide me, to support me, to challenge me, to love on me. And she literally is like, I just want to keep myself in alignment, like moving towards her, right? In my life. And what that looks like in the day to day is all the actions that I'm living, right? So whether it's taking care of my body, my mindset, it's how it's showing up to contribute in the world, supporting the women, that I coach, who I am to my family, my friends. Like, so what's inspiring me is me. It's this expanded version of me, but it's not just this self-centered, it's not
right.
that obviously.
It's not. I mean, you just commented on other people sharing this joy with other people. It's not coming
It's
across
who
that
she
way.
is in this life and how she
Yeah.
contributes with her
Yeah.
vibrant energy, with her compassion, with her whole fucking heart in the game of this thing called life. And I just, I can't accept living anything outside of her, or at least being on the path of living her. Like, to not be on this path of expanding myself into her every single day, to me is to not be really I'm not alive. Like, I'm not living my truth, my authentic, exactly, my most authentic self. So yeah, that's it. Thank you, Maggie.
I love that.
Love Maggie.
Maggie, thank you. I do too. She's definitely
so
a fave. And moving on to our next
Hawaiian mama.
Yes, just love. Every time I see her profile pic with that little flower in her hair, I'm dying.
I know. And her
little babies. So she wanted me to share this sentiment with you. She says, congrats on 3 years, Roxy. By way of showing up fully, authentically, in total badassery, you've given me permission to do the same. What a fucking gift. Forever in gratitude, girl. So thankful for you and everyone and everything that goes into Black Belt Beauty Radio. The world is better because of your courage to be fully in it, and keep kicking ass. Love, Kiri.
Kiri girl, I love you. She's amazing.
Just Can we just have her in California already?
I know, seriously. No, we need to
Or
get
actually,
her
no, we'll go to Hawaii.
Like, Hawaii's
Yeah.
home. I haven't been there forever. It's fucking locked up. But when it opens
we'll
up,
get there.
We're going. Yes, we're coming.
We're going to be there.
Yes.
And her question is, in regards to any fears, doubts, challenges Roxy previous to starting the podcast might have had, what advice, which I love this question, what advice would the Roxy today give to Roxy 3 years ago? So good.
That's really good. I feel that. Well, I can answer that from a business perspective, which may not be that profound, like what I would have done different in business, because I certainly know better now. When I launched the podcast, I was like still in my makeup career, and like, yeah, I didn't have this whole launch, like do this, do that, have the email, like, so none of that. My big launch was pushing fucking post on Instagram and like letting the world know, like, hey, I have a podcast now, but that's not really a launch, So there are things in the business aspect that I for sure would be able to guide that Roxanne. But on a kind of deeper level, I think what I would have told her, man, it's interesting. I'm thinking, I feel like what I would have told her is what how do I say this? Okay, let me start it over, because I'm also looking at the clock. I'm like, you gotta go. Okay. Honestly, when I started the podcast, I knew that what it was going to take was consistency. It was going to take a relentlessness. And I knew that if I just kept showing up and putting the reps in, I would get better. Getting better means getting more comfortable, getting better in the skill, because podcasting is a fucking skill. To be a host, I'm conversational. Yeah, it's an actual skill.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so I don't know if there's anything, because I'm living it. So I think what I would have said to her outside of the business support aspect is just that, like, you got everything it takes, girl. So just, at times where you can feel defeated because maybe you're not seeing numbers, things like that, like metrics that are so validating, like, fuck that shit. You keep going. And one of my favorite quotes from Benjamin Franklin is, I didn't fail to make a light bulb 10,000 times. I successfully learned how not to make a light bulb 10,000 times. So there are moments for sure where, maybe I want to see numbers be higher or certain things. And I just think to myself, if that man quit at light bulb number fucking, 1027, and, like, we would never, where would we be right now? I would look a lot dimmer right now. You know what I mean? So, just think about that relentlessness that it takes to go to 1,000, like all of those fails, right? And so I would have just reinforced this idea that, like, girl, just don't, it's okay to, when you feel those moments, like, just fucking keep getting back up. But the thing is, why I say that, why it was a little tricky for me to answer this, is because, to be honest, it's all I know how to do. I only know how to fucking take the punch and get back up. It's who I am. So, yeah, I just would have told her, like, have fun taking those punches, girl. Because they're coming. They're coming. So yeah, I don't know.
Of all people, she can handle it too.
Yeah. It's like you're better for it. Every punch you take, you learn more, you get stronger, and then you can, keep going. So
learn how to get punched in the face. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
Well,
I love you.
Thank you for taking
That was
the time.
such a nice surprise. I'm like,
oh, well, you deserve it. You deserve a little feedback.
Thank you. Well, okay. I know you have to go be super mom, and you deserve a little feedback. I love you so much. Girl, feedback is important. but
Huge,
you got to give it
huge.
to yourself too. But yeah, no, feedback is really important. I mean, especially from, when you're putting things out there and putting yourself out there and you're doing it in support of others, you want to know, like, is this working for you? Because, I want to, the best intentions are behind it. Like, so,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and on that
Yeah.
note, I want to wrap out with, I want to talk about Queendom in this last 2 minutes because I couldn't be more excited that we've officially launched our exclusive membership platform. It's crazy because we know that, the initial idea was to launch it in February of 2021, but with all of the women who have just been, at the bottom of this year coming forward, with coaching requests and all, it was like, okay, no, let's expedite this. Let's open this
Yeah.
up, get this ready. We turned it around in 3 fucking weeks. And now the doors are officially open for incredible badass women to come in and, do all of this stuff that we've been talking about on this episode with us together,
Right.
supporting them. And I literally, I'm so excited about just Queendom and showing up in support of all the members. And so want to make this the official note that if, any of you women out there taking this in are ready to up level your game in self-love, self-awareness, self-confidence, self-trust, you want to keep on this path of living from your fullest potential in life and show up every day doing your best, being compassionate with yourself on the days, like learning how to be compassionate. I think that's important
Learning
because, like,
that.
learning how
Yes.
to be compassionate with
Yeah.
yourself when you trip up and not have it like have you exit the game, but have you get better in the game, right? And then have, incredible, create relationships with incredible women who are doing the same thing in their life, who are going to keep you accountable and support you in this mission too. You belong in fucking Queendom. So there is a link in the show notes for you to sign up. This is going to be a platform that opens and closes throughout the year. So this is a time to get in now because it will be closing and it'll close for several months and then we'll reopen it because we want to really, hone in on the members there, create a culture and, a vibe, a
Like preserve that
connection.
intimacy. Yep.
Exactly. And
Totally.
then open it back up. And so this is the time starting 2021 with a force of badass women in a space that is non-toxic, non-competing, like, because, there's a lot of wonderful things about social media and a lot of things that aren't wonderful. And all those not wonderful things are the things that don't live in Queendom. Right. So that makes me very proud and excited to have this space, this safe space where you're going to be empowered, inspired, and just fucking feel good on this, doing the hard things. So
Yeah.
there
And
you go.
supporting each other, which I think is so crucial.
So crucial. Margie, you're crucial. I love you. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud to have you on my team. I do want to give a shout out to our girl, Christy, who is also Team Black Belt Beauty. She's a black belt in writing. And Christy, girl, we love you. We appreciate you. You make
So
our lives
much.
so much easier and enjoyable. And you are a queen on queens. And I'm excited for all that is coming for all of us, it's the greatest example of what happens when you are working in a team. Like, I'm a
Absolutely.
very self-sufficient woman who can kick ass and do all these things on my own. Yeah, that's
Yes.
great. A, it's not as much
Yes.
fun. B, you
No.
go a lot further when you're in a team together. So that whole
Yep.
teamwork makes the dream work shit. That shit's real. So
It's true.
we love you, Christy. Margie,
Love
girl, I
you.
love you.
I love you
Everybody
too.
taking this in, all of you supporters of everything Black Belt Beauty, specifically the podcast, obviously. I'm honored to be here in support of you, to create this content with you, for you. I love you guys. It's only getting better always because that's all I know how to fucking do. So it's where we're driving everything. And so, and honestly, the conversation always continues. Instagram, DMs, comments, give
Yes.
us your feedback. Let us know. Post this episode up on your stories. we love hearing from you. We were just talking about feedback. We need to hear from you because we're here to make this incredible for you. It's easier to do that when we know what, what you're requesting, what would be supportive of
Right.
you. So please reach out to us in all the ways that you can, and look forward to a lot of amazing things coming from Black Belt Beauty in 2021, because we're going to fucking send it. Okay. I love you.
Love you too. Thank you. Bye, babe.
Bye.